Hello and welcome to Health Talk. I'm Laura Engel. Here's a question for you. Have you ever seen or heard something you can't explain? Are you worried that bump in the night or shadowy figure might be the supernatural? Well, before you call the Ghostbusters, you may want to consult a doctor. That's right, there might be a physiological reason for that ghostly sighting. And here to talk about this phenomenon is writer and researcher Blake Smith. So Blake, we want to thank you for being here in person, not in the supernatural.
Sure.
So we want to discuss it. It can be a very serious thing for a lot of people. So what are some of the physical reasons a person might actually see a ghost or think they see a ghost?
Well, there's a lot of reasons why someone might think they see a ghost. I think the number one cause that people would be shockingly surprised by is something called sleep paralysis. And this is a really common phenomenon where someone wakes up in the middle of the night and finds that they can't move and it feels like something's holding them down. This has actually happened to me. It's very frightening. And what it's typically caused by is a sort of disconnect between when your body is asleep. Typically you would be paralyzed. And while you're dreaming, you don't want to act out your dreams physically. But what happens is you wake up and your body hasn't become unparalyzed. And so you feel this pressure. And for a small percentage of the people, they also see phenomena. They see things in the room or they feel a presence in the room. And it can be really, really frightening. And it's completely compelling that you've been haunted, that maybe there's some ghostly entity attacking you. In fact, culturally, there's stories about this all over the world. People call it incubus, succubus, old hag syndrome. But it's actually got a really simple physiological basis.
A lot of movies have been made about stuff like this, right?
That's right.
Well, and in terms of when you think about the actual health issues, are there serious health issues that go along with this phenomenon?
There are conditions such as epilepsy. There's certain types of epilepsy, temporal epilepsy, which can cause hallucinations, auditory and physically. You feel like you're seeing things. There's also neurological damage that can cause that sort of problem. And I would suspect that schizophrenia, this can also cause it. When you are feeling like you hear things or see things, it's good to check with your friends. Don't keep it inside. Talk to someone about it, because there could be a really good reason why it's happening. And
what about some of the reasons, physical reasons, where there are ghost sightings?
Well, typically with ghosts, people see ghosts as sort of a solution to a problem. So,
is it a mind playing tricks on you, sort of a thing?
If you hear noises and you're inclined to think of ghosts as the solution, then every little thing that happens becomes part of a syndrome of haunting. Whether the bumps in the night or things you see out of the corner of your eye, that all becomes part of it. And people have terrible memories. I think part of my role as a skeptic is to remind people that what we think of as like this sort of recording that's going on, that we experience as consciousness, is not really, it doesn't have the fidelity of, say, videotape. So we actually sort of reconstruct memories all the time, and we are always looking for explanations. And so when we see these patterns that we don't understand, whether they are knocks, noises, creaks, they could have completely mundane explanations. But the overall sensation of a haunting, once you get that idea in your mind, it's very compelling.
All right. And so you've got a podcast that deals with this, all of this subject matter?
I do. We call it MonsterTalk, the science show about monsters.
MonsterTalk. Oh, I like that. Okay.
So we talk about a lot of different kinds of creatures, and ghosts are just one of them. And my co-host is Dr. Karen Stolzno, and she and I have been doing this since about 2009. And what we do is we look at monsters and stories about ghosts and the paranormal and try to find what the science says, because that's really where our basis is. We're actually sponsored by Skeptic magazine.
Okay.
And we just love monsters, though. We're not naysayers and debunkers. We really love monsters.
All right, well, just give me an example of another kind of monster. You've got a ghost, and then what's an example of a common monster?
Bigfoot's the go-to.
Okay.
But to give an example for the show, plesiosaurs for Loch Ness, we actually brought in an actual paleontologist to talk about what would a plesiosaur actually be like if it lived in Loch Ness. It's not very likely, but I learned a lot about it. So we brought, we always go to the scientists.
And it's nice for people to be able to talk it out and to be able to hear, some of these explanations.
It is. We've had so many letters from listeners who we've sort of assuaged their fears, and that's great.
And where can people find more information?
MonsterTalk.org.
MonsterTalk.org. All right. Well, we want to thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Taking us through some of these scary things that go bump in the night. And if you have a health question, you want to tweet at Dr. Manny on Fox. Until next time, I'm Laura Engel.